All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's noon. We're going to get going. Thank you for coming. My name is David Kallman, an attorney with Kallman Legal Group. My son, Stephen Kallman, is another attorney, and Jack Jordan are all part of our legal team. We also have 3 of the hairstylists who are being prosecuted. We have Brenda, Angela, and Suzanne are here. You'll be hearing from one of them in a minute. Of course, most of you know Karl Mankey. Maybe I'll wait for the bells to stop here. And then we have Roseanne Krankowski, who is the president of the Michigan Conservative Coalition. So we're going to start out here as soon as the bells stop. And I'll make a few comments. Then we're going to have Angela speak briefly. Then Mr. Mankey, Karl's going to come up and speak. And then we're going to wind up with our Roseanne, sorry. And then we'll take questions and answers if any of you have any questions. Sorry, Roseanne. We just met, so. All right, well, hopefully the bells will stop here in just a second. I think I need a haircut, Karl. My hair is like flying all over the place. That's right. All right. Well, thank you for coming. What we're here for today, as many of you recall, about a month ago, right here on the Capitol lawn, there was a protest that was held, Operation Haircut, where approximately 20 or so hairstylists, barbers came from all around the state of Michigan to protest the governor's executive orders and the fact that at the time they were still shut down and could not operate their businesses. And they were here providing free haircuts to people. Nobody was charging for that. There was no income. There was no commerce going on. It was a protest. And during the protest, 7 of the individuals, 3 of whom we have here today, were given tickets for disorderly person criminal misdemeanor charges filed against them. And those are being prosecuted by the Attorney General's office, not the local county prosecutor's office. 6 of the 7 of those ladies who received these summons have hired us, and we're representing them. The 7th lady is being represented by the Mackinac Center Legal Foundation. So we are here today because of what is going on. Not only are there criminal charges against our clients for supposedly, I guess, violating the governor's executive order. It's kind of unclear on the tickets. But they've charged them under the disorderly person statute, which says they were operating an illegal business or an illegal occupation. Well, the last time I checked, being a barber or a hairstylist, a cosmetologist is not an illegal occupation. And that's what they're charged with criminally. So we assume that also includes the governor's executive orders, that it's a misdemeanor to violate those, at least allegedly. Now, our clients have all received notices from the Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Agency in Michigan, and they are taking steps against and action against our clients' licenses, just like they did to Karl. So they are attacking not only them criminally and facing possible jail and other sanctions, but they're attacking their livelihood. They're attacking their ability to earn a living and to be open and cut hair and provide their other services. Now, we're all familiar with what's been going on with Karl's case, and just last week we had a couple of more wins. The Attorney General's office agreed to dismiss the summary suspension of Karl's license. So he right now has a clear license and has no impediment to him cutting hair at his barbershop. The second thing was, as you recall, there was an action taken by the Department of Health and Human Services, Director Gordon, issued a cease and desist order against Karl. You may recall 6 state troopers showing up and serving him on a Friday evening. with the paperwork, and it's called an abatement order. That's the case where the Supreme Court ruled just a couple weeks ago and upheld Judge Stewart's decision to not issue an injunction. In other words, it allows Karl to stay open. It reversed the Court of Appeals, who had ordered Karl to be shut down. So those were the two things that happened last week. So the abatement order, the cease and desist order, that case is entirely gone now. That will not be heard by the Court of Appeals. The case is over. The state withdrew their abatement order. And they've admitted in the pleadings that were filed with the court that Karl is not a threat to public health, safety, or welfare any more than these ladies are or our other clients also. So very positive things that are happening. And at this point now, given the fact that barbers and salons and cosmetologists can now be open, it seems odd to have these cases going on and an attack on our clients' livelihood and their licenses, as well as an attempt to give them criminal records, which is just ridiculous. Let me end by saying this. You know, it's very apparent that Governor Whitmer had no problem violating her own executive orders and walking with protesters that she agrees with, while at the same time, other folks came here to peacefully protest, to cut hair for free, to exercise their First Amendment rights. And what does the governor do? She prosecutes them. And she tries to take action against their licenses. That is outrageous. You know, folks, you can look across the street, right there, see the Boji Tower, see all the plywood up in the windows and the destruction and things that occurred at the Romney building. You didn't see any of that going on at the protest when these folks were cutting hair. It was a fun day. People had a good time. It was a bright, sunny day, and it was totally peaceful. And yet here we are, our clients being prosecuted and attacked. The governor is weaponizing state agencies against anybody that dares stand up to her illegal and unlawful executive orders. Now, what's going to happen is eventually our Supreme Court's going to rule on those things. I realize that that's an issue that's up in the air, but we believe under the law it's very clear. So that being said, we're going to have Angela Rigas come and address everyone for a minute. So why don't you go ahead? Rigas, sorry.
Hi, thank you for coming. So, like David said, a month ago we took part in a legal and lawful and peaceful protest against the governor's unlawful and unjust executive orders. Orders closing our businesses, stopping our livelihoods, permanently closing some businesses that were not able to ride it out during this closure. The citations that we received on that day were a clear violation of our First Amendment rights. Our rights to freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom to go against the government when they are being unlawful. Those are God-given rights. The governor's duty is to protect those rights, not to write orders against those very rights. Now she's making an example out of us. In the future, this basically states, if you do not comply, you will be punished. That's not the way our government works. The governor's job is to protect our rights. Don't ever forget that. The God-given rights in the Constitution, those are our rights, and they shall never be taken away by the government.
Thanks, Angela. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rigas. All right. Well, at this point, I think we're going to have Karl come on up, and he's going to address the crowd and address you folks and let you know what's happening with him.
How are you? My name is Karl Mankey. I'm a barber in Owasso, and I'm an American barber. We're standing on these steps of the Capitol. We were here just a few weeks ago, and these steps represent the institution that is intended to be elected by and for we, the people. This institution exists because of our Constitution, our Michigan Constitution, and these are more than just paper documents. This is the bedrock foundation of our existence as a nation, a state, and is the protection for individuals to live in freedom. I believe one of these fundamental rights is the right to work and earn a living. I started cutting hair on May 4th, and the reason I did was because the legislature had declared that her emergency period was up, and I was obeying the law. The legislatures, they make the laws, not the governor. My bills were coming due. My summer taxes were coming up. My winter taxes were already there. All my insurances were there. I needed to go back to work to make a living. These are hairstylists. These hairstylists here that are represented here found themselves in the same position. Some of them are single moms with children and owners of business that are essential to make a living.
All essential!
How we can declare one thing essential and not another is a subjective call on the part of this governor, or for that matter, anyone. Governor Whitmer has been playing a game of Simon Says in her game. It's now called Gretchen Says. She's picking winners and losers and telling us what to do and what not to do. The governor said we could use a kayak, but it was public health to use a boat with a motor. The governor said we could buy light bulbs, and she says it was a public health to risk to buy paint. The governor said it was okay for people to have abortions, but she says it was a public health risk to allow knee surgeries. The governor said people could buy stuff at Walmart, but she says it's a public health risk to shop at a small mom and pop store. The governor said it was safe to eat in restaurants in Traverse City, but she says it was a public health risk to eat in a restaurant in Lansing. The governor said a dentist can work inside someone's mouth, or a chiropractor can do body adjustments through physical touch, but she says it was a public health risk to cut someone's hair on top of their head. The governor says that someone can't get a haircut at the Capitol steps, but I'm wondering how for the past several months, every time she's appeared in public, her hair is well coiffed. She gets her hair cut. And I'd like to know where she gets her hair cut and who cuts her hair. And even if she had any hairstyling done the last 3 months outside of a shop that wasn't licensed. Her husband has obviously thought that they could get preferential treatment when they try to get their boat in the water. I just wonder if the governor is following her own Gretchen Says rules when it comes to getting her own hair taken care of. One of those constitutional rights we all hold sacred is the right to disagree and the right to free speech and expressing those opinions. Hundreds of people showed up at the Capitol to express their free speech, declaring it was time to move Michigan forward. Several barbers and stylists came to cut hair, and hundreds came to get their hair cut. They were saying it was time to stand up for Michigan, to open up, for people in the communities to show up. It was a voluntary, peaceful demonstration as part of free speech guaranteed by the Constitution, just as free as they are. It took, as it was previously talked to by Mr. Coleman, if you look at the buildings around the Capitol, we see signs of that other protest. The one that resulted in businesses being broken into and storefronts smashed. Those businesses now have plywood lining their stores. Governor Whitmer not only said those protesters had a right to protest, but she joined in with them. Walking side by side, not abiding by her own distance laws as she has proclaimed them to be. We have some in our society saying that it's okay for people to burn flags, but it's illegal to cut hair. The people that showed up for Operation Haircut did not smash those windows. They just wanted to peacefully cut hair as their expression of free speech. Gretchen says they were a danger to public health. But Gretchen says protests that result in destruction of business is not a danger to public health. 20 years ago it was okay to cut hair, but now on the Capitol steps you can smoke marijuana legally. No one can smoke marijuana. No one can cut hair, whether it's legal or illegal, without a constitutional permit to do so. And we have that constitutional permit to do both. We are standing here on the steps of the Michigan government, one that is founded on 3 branches of government working in harmony. The Michigan legislature elected the people, voted it in this Capitol building, saying that the state of emergency ended April 30th. Yet Gretchen says that she does not need to listen to the legislature, but can make up her own rules. We are in a constitutional crisis in Michigan because the governor is thinking she can unilaterally make up her own rules without any checks or balances. As you know, I've been in the battle with this governor over her efforts. I've been in this business for 60 years. The governor has issued citations, sent the Michigan State Police to deliver a cease and desist order, threatened me with contempt of court, suspended my license. The Supreme Court declared that those efforts were out of order, and it had denied me the free process, due process required under the law. I am grateful that I can legally cut hair now for a period of time, and yet these ladies are under the threat of their licenses being suspended. This is not right, and it needs to end now. The Constitution is meant to give us the assurance that we are to be properly governed. Governor Whitmer believes that she can rule us. I will be governed, but I will not be ruled. Governor Whitmer is now using heavy-handed enforcements to suspend the license of these hairstylists who simply cut hair as part of their constitutional rights. I've lived under 14 different administrations. I was born in 1942. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was our president at that time. I have never seen anything like this. This is like a police state action. And again, it's always against those who disagree with her made-up rules, her concept of what she believes that she can get away with without legislative authority. This is not the Michigan I know. This is certainly not the America I know. This is certainly not the freedom I know that was paid for at a great price. I got a letter the other day from one of my supporters and reminded me, I was born in 1942, and they reminded me on the day Normandy was stormed in 1944. 209 souls stormed the beaches of Normandy. Within a couple of days, 54,000 had lost their life. That's a high price to pay, maybe a low price for freedom. Enough is enough. It's time we decide the Constitution is important and we defend citizens' rights, including our ability to have free speech. It is time we believe that the government should also stand up for we the people and to defend our constitutional rights. I'm standing up with these ladies today because I believe in them as law-abiding citizens who own businesses that are essential to our communities. I am standing with them today to defend their right to work. I'm standing up with them today to defend their constitutional right for free speech. I am standing up today with all other business owners in Michigan who are opening up. It's time to move Michigan forward. It's time we all stand up, open up, and they will show up. Thank you.
Thank you, Karl. All right, finally, we have Roseanne Rinkowski, who's the president of the Michigan Conservative Coalition.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. As David said, I'm the president of Michigan Conservative Coalition, and we threw together Operation Gridlock. We had about 25,000 people here, very safe, no harm done, and it was a great protest. Unfortunately, the governor didn't get the message, so we felt that we needed to have a follow-up. So we wanted to come up with a way to show the governor that businesses could open up safely. So we settled on haircuts because everybody needed one, and we felt that we could show her that it can be done in a safe manner. So we came up with 20 stylists that came out to cut hair. It was a gorgeous day, as I said earlier. And out of those 20, the police decided to ticket 7 of them. I don't know why only 7. I thank God only 7, but I don't know why and how they got picked. But we are incredibly grateful that those people showed up to cut hair, to exercise their right, and everybody that came had a great time. So once again, thank you, ladies. I know I've talked to you all personally, but I really want to give you our thanks. The problem is that this governor is vindictive, beyond vindictive. When we planned this protest, we had no idea that she would be so vindictive as to come after the livelihood of these good people. And to charge them with disorderly persons is amazing, since I don't think there was any disorder going on anywhere. And there was lots of patriotism, lots of red, white, and blue, lots of people having a good time. Actually, if you go to our website, you'll see a video there where we even vacuumed the lawn floor, the grass floor, to make sure there was no hair left. And one of the police officers said, I've seen many protests here, but I've never seen one leave cleaner than it started. So we're very proud of that, and we're very proud of these ladies. And I just want you to know 2 things. One, we said we would stand behind them, and we are. And we're able to do that with the help of the public through a GoFundMe account. It's called Operation Haircut, and people have been very generous. But now that she's come after their license, we don't know what the cost will tally. So if you are able to contribute to that, please do. The other thing is we do have someone here collecting petitions to put amendment on the Constitution for the November ballot that says that no governor in the future can ever act unilaterally like this one has, that he must have permission from the legislature and the courts as well to do this type of thing. So if you're interested in seeing that on the ballot, please see one of these 2 ladies here that have petitions that can collect signatures. And again, I just really want to thank the ladies that came out and Karl that came out to cut hair. It was a glorious day, and we proved our point. Unfortunately, we have a very stubborn, vindictive governor and attorney general, so we'll keep fighting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll take a few minutes. If anybody has questions, we'd be happy to answer. Or we can just end right now and have everybody come down and do it that way if that's easier for everybody. All right, let's do that. All right, thanks for coming, folks. We'll come down and we can talk.